Welcome to your first lecture, Understanding Human Behavior. Have you ever thought that the world would be a much better place if everyone would just learn to understand you? Or better yet, have you ever thought, why can't everyone just be like me? Well, I've already tried to get everyone to agree to this, and it didn't work, so you can save your time. Instead, you'll have to work at understanding others and figuring out what they want. You would probably agree that what each person defines as happiness or success is very different. Just think about, what does success and happiness mean to you? It's probably quite different than anyone else in your family, even though you might be very much like them. But while we all might define success, the one thing that we all have in common is that we need really good people skills in order to find success and happiness. Several different studies have shown that if you learn how to deal effectively with other people, you've gotten 85% of the way down the road to success in any business and about 99% of the way down the road to personal happiness. Dealing effectively with people doesn't mean being passive or being a doormat or letting people step all over you. It also doesn't mean being a tyrant or using other people as a doormat. You might have already figured out by now that knowing how to do a job is not as important as knowing how to work with other people, and this becomes more and more important as you move up in management. The Carnegie Institute of Technology found that 85% of people fail in their careers due to personality factors. What this means is they just can't get along with others. Only 10% of job success was because of technical skills that people possessed. Something that became popular in the 90s was the issue of IQ versus EQ, quotient versus emotional quotient, or basically book smarts versus people smarts. What they found was that people with higher IQs aren't generally more successful in business, nor do they make more money or have better relationships, nor are they happier. What studies have found is that those people with a high emotional intelligence, those people with the ability to communicate with others and understand others effectively, generally did have better careers. They were more successful, they were happier, and generally they did make more money. At Purdue University, they kept records of engineering graduates over a 5-year period. They studied those who had the highest grade point average. That meant that they studied students who had mastered their profession in engineering, and they compared the top 5% of the graduating classes to those who had the lowest grades. Those who had the lowest grades in the graduating classes made only $200 less a year. But when the earnings of those graduates who had the highest human relations skills, basically these engineers who graduated from Purdue University, who had the strongest communication and human relations skills, they found that they made at least 15% more than the smartest group in their class. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't strive for a 4.0 GPA, but what I am saying is, but before we jump right into what effective human relations looks like today, let's take a look at the history of people management. You might have heard of a book called The Prince. This was written by Machiavelli, and he taught people that effective management meant you had to manipulate people. He felt that others were basically lazy and self-centered, and you had to trick them into working. He also felt that people of lower status should be subservient. So what do you think of this style of people management? Do you think that there are leaders today that still use this Machiavellian style? Unfortunately, some 500 years later, this style of leadership is still used. Luckily, however, it's not used by most managers in the workplace.